guys. Whoa, let me turn my camera around. Oh, that's embarrassing. I'm here. I can't figure out how to turn my camera around because I'm waiting for Amber. Please hold. Hi, Amber. Okay, there we go. Oh, now I can flip my camera. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. I couldn't flip my camera around because it was waiting for you to get on. Anyway.
Sorry, I'm here, I promise.
Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm so excited, and we are going to, we got a lot of questions. You got a lot of questions too, I'm sure, Amber, but you probably always do.
Yeah, we got some good overlapping questions, I'm sure, because a lot of people have similar questions when they first.
Yes. So, are we ready to dive in?
I'm ready to dive in. Drum roll.
I'm so excited to see all of you guys here. Hi, friends. Okay, well, tonight we are talking about FootZonology, and I asked Amber to do this live with me because she is like the master FootZonologist. So I'm so excited to have her here and to have all of you here. And I want to just briefly tell how this started. So I've shared about FootZoning before on my page. FootZoning has been a part of our life, my life, for 9 years now, I believe. How long for you, Amber?
About 13 years.
13 years? Wow, okay. So, but a couple weeks ago, I was sharing on my stories about how I was able to avoid taking Indy to the emergency department for all the crazy stuff we've been going through, but because I zoned her feet instead, and it fixed the issue. So she was having like a rapid heartbeat and an irregular heartbeat, and I zoned her feet, and it fixed the issue, so I didn't need to take her to the ER. And I shared that on my stories, and then everyone was like, okay, what is FootZoning? Please tell me more about this. That's amazing. So I've had so many experiences like that with FootZoning. I know you have too, Amber, where it is amazing. It is such a gift to have FootZoning in my life. And so let's get started. I wanted to give a little history about how I found FootZoning and how amazing it's been. It was 9 years ago, and we were trying to get pregnant, and I was not having any menstrual cycles at all. And so someone was like, have you tried FootZoning? Like, I went 2 years without a menstrual cycle. And someone asked if I had tried FootZoning, and I never had, so I went to a FootZoner, and I had done like everything medical and all sorts of natural things to stimulate my menstrual cycle. And I had 8 foot zones, and I had a menstrual cycle.
Yay! I have not heard this story, so I'm super excited.
Yeah, so that's what got me started on FootZoning, and I was like just sold ever since then, and I've had the most incredible experiences with it. So anyways, that is how I got started in FootZoning. So tell Amber, I don't know if you want to share quickly how you did, or if we just want to dive into answering questions.
Okay, I always just want to dive into answer questions, but I also think it's important to let people know how I got started as well, because I think not many people grow up, or when they're growing up, going, I want to grow up and be a FootZoner. It's usually something I think that just gets orchestrated on our path when we're searching and looking for something different, or when we're really yearning for help. So my story, obviously, I can talk hours about it because there's so many different intricate details, but I'll keep it short and simple. I got introduced to FootZoning when my oldest son, Calvin, had extreme health issues, and I was seeing every specialist, every geneticist, every doctor, at Stanford, all these different places, and again, to just summarize this, he was on more medications and getting sicker and sicker, and I knew somewhere in my little mommy heart and my motherly intuition that something was off and we weren't addressing the root cause. So I decided to dive into other things. I'm just going to try other things. And I had been into health and wellness. I was an aerobics instructor. I was a triathlon coach, but I just felt like there was also still something missing to the pieces. So I went on this search for other things, and I found FootZoning. It was actually my sister who introduced it to me. She's like, yeah, there's this foot lady who lives up the street from us. She like rubs your feet and she tells you what's going on. And my little ears,
Rubs your feet.
yeah, my little ears went, I want a foot rub, because when I was a child, in order for me to fall asleep, my father would rub my feet. And so feet were just something dear to me. So anyways, I'm like, oh, I'm all in, for me. And then I thought, well, if it can help my son, great. So of course, when I went to make an appointment with her, it was like weeks and weeks out. And I'm like, and I was only visiting my sister for a week, and she lived right on the border of Idaho and Utah. So I said, if there's any cancellation, just call me. I'll come at midnight, whatever it is. So of course she called me, last minute cancellation. So I went running up the street, and I was going to get it done before my son. And within the first couple seconds, I would say first 30 seconds, minute, she was nailing all my health problems that I had, but I wasn't really addressing my health problems because my child was number one priority. But she nailed things right off the bat for me. Do you have problems having kids? And we tried so long to have kids with my son Calvin. It was like, yeah. And then she started naming all these other things I've been dealing with, and she gave remedies for them, and it rang true and it made sense. And of course, when I'm in the chair, to be honest and open, I just sobbed. I knew I was in the right place at the right time for whatever information was coming. Then it was my son's turn, and she just looked at his feet and she goes, he's highly allergic to dairy. And I'm like, that's so crazy. That's what I thought. I asked my doctor. They said, no way. My mom was even thinking the same thing because I didn't handle dairy. And she goes, well, just take him off dairy for 2 weeks and see what happens. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's such an awful idea. Why? I was waiting for somebody in a big white coat to tell me what to do. So anyways, fast forward, she nailed everything that was going on with him down to the medications that were in his body. And for the first time ever after that appointment, my son made eye contact with me. And my son had not made eye contact with me for months and months and months. He was diagnosed with autism. He was diagnosed with liver failure, lung disorder, psoriasis, eczema, you name it. His legs were really bowed. He would drool out of the side of his mouth. And that moved me. I'm like, if he made eye contact with me, there's something there. So I was just flying back and forth because I was getting more answers from this woman than I was anywhere else. I myself had problems getting pregnant. The woman kept telling me, why don't you just learn how to do this? I was like, no way. I don't have time for this. At the time of all of this, I owned a graphic design firm in the Silicon Valley, and
Oh,
are you still there?
yes.
Anyways, and I kept saying no. But then after getting FootZoned, he cleared up legs that were really extremely bowed. They were like halfway there. But fast forward, I get pregnant on my own, just on my own completely. And so that shocked me. And then just to give a little bit about my story, my second son had brain tumors. And so I knew that I had to do something, that I had to learn this. And so I knew from there, like when he was born, I just thought, I got to make sure as a mom that I know all that I can to help my son have the best life possible and to extend his life. And so anyway, so I started diving in and learning it. And then of course I couldn't stop. So then after a couple of years after learning, I was diving into everything. I was doing my master's in neurology, learning about essential oils, getting my aromatherapy, doing nutrition. It was all that. And so it just keeps going. I'm studying underneath different people because I just love the amazing ability of the human body and its capacity to heal. And I don't think enough of us understand that or dive into it. So here I am. I have 3 kids, 3 little boys. My first one's fine. Second one, totally fine. He's 11 now. And I have a 5-year-old.
Like the brain tumors went away.
Completely on. I did everything natural. It was a very extreme, tense time, but yeah, he's doing awesome. And I often get the comment from people in the neighborhood or community who don't really know me. They're like, you're just so lucky. Your kids are so healthy. You have no idea what it's like to have sick kids. And I'm like, I have no idea. They can be healthy. They can be healthy. But anyways, there's a lot more details to all of that. But that is how I got started into it. And I wanted to have more tools and resources to take care of myself and my family.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. Your story is very inspiring. And somebody asked in the questions, like, how else has FootZoning helped Indy? And Oh, I don't even want to like imagine what how things could have gone or what things could have happened if we didn't have foot zoning, you know, because the whole time through, everything that she's been through, she has been zoned continuously, whether, you know, like actually on her feet or distant zoning, which we can talk more about. We had questions about that too. But it has been just miraculous for Indy, and I know it aids the body in detoxing the chemotherapy and all the medications that she's had to take. And we've had a very like dual approach, you know, with Western medicine and then natural healing methods, and it has worked for Indy. It has been hard. I would have loved to do it all natural, you know, but it like has whatever we did worked for Indy. So it's just been amazing for her. I can't think of any specifics right now, but I just know in general, like she's here today. She's here today, and she has for her entire life had like 1 to 2 foot zones a week. So more than that in extreme times. So anyways, let's dive into the questions. So the first one is basically, what is foot zoning?
So foot zoning is a way to explain it in a very simple way. Is foot zoning accessing the signal systems on the feet to help rebalance the body, rejuvenate the body, detox the body, and raise the life energy in the body so that your body can get back in balance. So you're igniting the healing capabilities within. A foot zoner doesn't heal your body heals itself. And sometimes we need that little extra help. So if you can imagine hundreds and thousands of these different nerve endings, or we'll say signal systems on the bottom of the feet. Foot zoning goes in and pushes reset and reboot. So whatever the body needs to do, it will do it. If it needs to detox that area, it will detox it. If it needs to rebalance it, rebalance it. If it needs to bring circulation to that area, it will do it. And that's what's so amazing about the human body. Sometimes it knows exactly what it needs to do. It just needs a little bit of help doing that. And then so with foot zoning, there's actually 2 parts. There's the treatment part, but then there's the analysis part. So depending on what that signal feels like will give you information what is going on in the body. So you can hit a signal and it can feel a certain way, and it will let you know if there's a virus there, if there's a deficiency there, if there is chemicals sitting there or medications there. There's many, just swelling, inflammation. So there's so many different aspects about foot zoning, but the main one is treating the body, and then the other part is analyzing the body. So if you can think of the bottom of the feet have all these beautiful information like Braille, and you just go on. If you know how to read Braille, if you know how to read the bottom of the feet, you can understand what's going on in the body.
So let me give an example, because when you say like a signal, I want to give an example of like how this has helped me in my life being mom to Indy. So Indy used to get really bad tummy aches at night, like every night. Not every night, but so many times she would be up with a tummy ache. And so it was so amazing because I was able to go in and do like a quick zone analysis of her body, like her inner organs, and find out what was going on. And like most of the time it was a liver gallbladder issue. Like I would find a little bit of a blockage in her gallbladder. And so then I was able to like zone that out, and her tummy ache would go away and she would fall asleep. Stuff like that. So that's what we taught when she says signals. That's what we mean. Like there's a signal for every part of your body on the bottom of your feet. And so you can go in and through zone analysis figure out what is out of balance, what needs correcting, and sometimes the results are immediate when you zone it.
And it takes, what I love about it is it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. You're like, going on, especially as a child who can't really communicate or explain in detail what's going on. You're just kind of like, okay, what's going on? But if you go to the feet, you're like, oh, I see what's going on here. I mean, just the other night, my son was saying, oh, my neck hurt. And I'm like, okay, he was at the skate park. He probably had a fall. But I was like, no, that just doesn't seem right. It didn't seem fall anywhere upper body. And his neck means throat, right? So So it could throw you off your rails and be like, oh, his neck, maybe we put cooler ice. But as soon as I got to his feet, it's like, oh, his throat hurts. I immediately went in there. It was a little dehydrated, a little bit of bacteria that he probably picked up that day. I was just able to zone it, get it out of the system. But then also I knew, give him some coconut water, give him some watermelon juice, and then we were on our merrily way. What if I wasn't able to detect that? What if the next morning he woke up with a fever, a sore throat? I don't know. But it was so great for me as a mom. I'm like, oh, this is exactly what we need to do. And we just nip it in the bud.
Yes, I am with you on that. It's such a gift to be able to know what to do, to find what's going on and then know how to treat it. Like, oh, I zoned Birdie a couple days ago and her ear felt clogged up. And so I knew, okay, I need to start rubbing essential oils on her ear and using my garlic ear drops so that she doesn't develop an ear infection, because she had a little upper respiratory thing. So it's just amazing to have those tools, to feel what's going on and to know what to do. So, yeah.
Tools and resources that are completely
Yes.
valuable,
Yes. And yes, Amber does have experience working with with children with food allergies. That question just came up. Amber has experience working with like everything. Amber. Let's get back to, so the technique. What exactly is the technique of foot zoning?
Okay. So the technique, there's many different ways that we can answer that question, but where I'm going to go with that is the technique is you use your hands. I use my knuckles. So if you were to look at my knuckles, you'd see that my knuckles are pretty worn. When people, back in the day before COVID, you shake people's hands or you hand money at the grocery store, they'd be like, are you okay? Did you drag your knuckles on the ground? No. I just use my knuckles a lot. So I use my knuckles to access those signals on the feet. And the treatment is you start on the right foot and you end with the left. And the pattern that you do on the right is almost the exact same pattern that you do on the left, except for slightly different because different organs will reside on different sides of the body. The heart's on the left side, the spleen's on the left, the liver's on the right. But a lot of things are symmetrical. So you will start, when you start with the right foot, you start with the outside of the foot, then you go to the top of the foot, you go to the instep of the foot, and then you go to the bottom of the foot, and the bottom of the foot where all the inner organs are located. But it's just using your knuckles, maybe a little bit of your finger pads on different fingers, but a lot of it's that, and you're just using that knuckle to get in there, to reset, to do a little roll on it. And again, you do everything on the right, and then you move to the left foot. And that's pretty much the treatment.
Yeah.
Which I might address now, because a lot of people say, well, how is this different from reflexology?
That was my next question.
Because I'm like, we could just roll right into this, because a lot of people have a question. So with studying foot zoning for so long, and also studying reflexology and acupressure points and doing some bit of Chinese medicine, foot zoning is so intricate. It's so in-depth. It's so detailed more than anything else. And with foot zoning, you access the entire body, emotional, mental, physical, and etherical body, the spiritual body. So you're bringing all those 4 pillars of health together, and you are resetting and renewing all of those layers in the body, along with all of the systems. And so reflexology, you will go push different points on the feet and figure out where there's a burden, okay? But maybe there's a burden in the heart because the liver's not doing its job. So the signal to the heart is swollen, but did you go into the liver? Did you dive into the liver? Did you see what was going on in the liver? Because maybe the liver's not filtering the blood very well, which is stressing the heart and putting unclean blood in the heart muscle itself and causing the problem in the heart. So what I love about foot zoning, it's so detailed that it gets you to the root cause of the problem. So not only can you see what's going on, but then also you have a remedy for it. Okay, so it's not just, hey, let's push this and see what happens. But you actually can detect what's going on and get to the root cause. Also with foot zoning, whether somebody has an ear infection or somebody is dealing with a serious autoimmune disease and everything above and below in between, you always do the exact same zone, okay? Because you're treating every single system in the body. So when my son has, an injury from his spine from skateboarding. I'm going to treat the whole system, because also when you compact the spine, you get the nerves, and the nerves also affect the communication to other organs in the body, and there's this chain reaction. Our systems don't run separately. They all run together and intertwine, and they communicate with each other. So why is FootZoning different than, or how is it different than reflexology? It's so much more detailed and intricate, and I'm going to say it's complete. It's complete. And when you do FootZoning, you always do it in a certain order, because you need to open up certain organs and certain systems and get circulation going before you can detox. There's an order to it. So it's much more intricate. It's much more complete. I like to say it's a bit... FootZoning is like reflexology on steroids. So it's just way more powerful, way more intricate, way more detailed, and it's complete.
Yeah, complete. I like that answer. It's complete. It is an amazing treatment. You always do the full foot zone, like right to left, full foot, full entire body, all 4 bodies, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. I love that. Okay, so can I zone myself? Yes, you can zone your own feet. And I do not zone myself enough. It's always about the kids. Amber, do you zone your own feet regularly?
So I have to say I do, but it's a challenge. I put my own self on the calendar, because there's times when I didn't, and I felt myself slipping. So, and it is, as a mom, you've got your kids, and then if you have a practice, you're always, there's always so many different things going on. So quite a few years ago, I just started putting myself on the calendar. I will at least do it once a week, but most likely twice a week. It's also with me seeing other people and working with other people's energy and personalities. I just want to make sure my body is grounded and functioning at its highest vibration. So yes, I do, but it is a challenge just fitting it in the schedule.
Okay, I'm inspired to start zoning my own feet again.
You can do it. You can do it. Just put yourself on the calendar, right?
I know. I actually got a foot zone today by my dearest friend Elizabeth, who no longer practices foot zonology for other people, which I am sorry, because I would love all of you to see her. She's incredible, but she came and zoned my feet today.
I have to tell you, she is an absolute angel. I love her.
She is, yes. So then this answers another, one of the biggest questions was, how can people find a foot zoner near them? And there really aren't, there are not as many zoners as there are other healers. Oh, sorry, let me answer really fast. Everyone keeps asking if they can see Indy and Birdie. They're sleeping. I'm sorry. They went to bed like an hour ago, so I'm sorry, guys. I'll do a live with them soon. Okay, you're up, Amber.
So your question was...
how can we find a zoner near us?
Okay. Like what you said, it's challenging. There aren't too many zoners out there, as there are many other healing modalities and methods, but FootZoning is gaining momentum. It's been around for a long, long time, but more people are turning to it as they're finding other alternatives. The best way to find somebody is afcpa.org. But I have also started on my website, Amber Bodily Health Practitioners Network. So my students that have graduated or other foot zoners, I definitely see them excelling in it and really taking to heart and doing continual learning with it. They're able to apply to my practitioners network, and we interview them, have them go through a process, and then we put them in our practitioners network. So if you are trying to find somebody who is a foot zoner, you can please visit my website, amberbodilyhealth.com, and you can find somebody there. Also, a lot of people that are foot zoners are also most of the time certified in something else, like yoga, or they're a nutritionist, or they're an energy worker, or, some of them are coaches, mental coaches, they're entrepreneur coaches. Some of them are nurses, they're everybody all across the board. So I feel like it's important to find somebody that you match with their energy, but also personality, and somebody that is in a similar field, or something that someone that you resonate with, I should say. So those are the 2 places I would go, because there are a lot of people that have learned foot zoning, so they call it, but they've learned from somebody else who learned from somebody else who learned from their aunt in their garage over Christmas. And the technique and the modality gets watered down and washed away, and the technique isn't pristine and exact. and there are some complications that come back or side effects that can happen, or someone who's not going to really be able to let you know what's going on if you're not getting someone who's trained and really know what they're doing and who is certified. What I like about afzpa.org is in order to be a member of that, you have to meet certain requirements of CEUs and you have to be certified and up to date on your certification. So then you know you're getting somebody who is,
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me add a few things. Yes, I will put links up in my stories, place so that you guys can go on and look and see if there's a zoner in your area. And also, I just want to say, if you ever get a foot zone and it's not like an amazing, incredible experience for you, then you saw the wrong person, and you need to see someone else, because it should be just a wholesome, amazing experience. So that website is AFZPA, right?
.org.
Z as in zoo, AFZPA.org. And again, I'll link it in my stories. So, and then let's dive into this, Amber. People who want to learn foot zoning so that they can help their families and maybe some friends, how can they learn foot zoning?
Okay. There's a couple different ways to do it. As my journey of foot zoning has come along, I started coaching and then I started teaching. So I actually teach foot zoning right now, and I have for quite some time, about 9 years. But one thing with the silver lining of COVID, as we always try to see the good in everything, is I have gotten 99% of all my classes online, and we do them via Zoom. There are times when we have to come together and meet for some online stuff, but very, very short. So I teach foot zoning, and I am just finishing up a big class of students. I've been working so hard for the last 9-10 months. They're going to be graduating in February. So in the spring, I am going to be starting new classes. So if you are interested, I would highly recommend you just head on over to my Instagram page. There's a link there. Also in my stories, you can swipe up and add your name to a list where I can send you more detailed information about the course if you're at all interested. As far as pricing, what's expected, homework, books, what you'll learn, the whole gamut. So if you are thinking about it, I would highly recommend you getting on the list to get more detailed information about the course.
Okay. That's exciting. Amber is an amazing teacher, so you guys will all be so lucky to learn from her. Let's hurry and bounce through a few more questions. We're hitting our half-hour mark. Is there an affordable way to learn just to do it on family? It is an investment. So we can, let's talk about that. How would you answer that, Amber?
Okay, so it is an investment, and it's something that I would, if you are at all thinking about it, highly, highly recommend. So maybe you save up to take the class. It is a universal price. So whether, I'm an instructor for the American Nordblum Institute of FootZonology. So whether you take it from me or any other instructor, it is the same price. Although I will tell you, I actually expect more out of my students, and I give them a lot more classes, a lot more detailed information, a lot more handouts, and expect a little bit more homework and more practical. But that way, I just want to make sure you learn it and know it. So the price is the same across the board, but it is an investment. It's a total investment. Everything that you learn in the class, you use right away, and you will absolutely use the rest of your life. Your body that you live in, your house, is the most precious real estate that you ever have on this earth. And if you know how to cultivate it, if you know how to care for it, how to keep up on it, it will pay you back dividends, moving forward. And what I love about people who take the courses, so I've had a 12-year-old take and graduate the course. I've had a 65-year-old take the course. I've had from every kind of profession, you name it, across the board. And all of them do absolutely amazing. Everything you learn in every class, you apply. So it's not like going and studying for an economic exam. You go cram for the test and then maybe use a couple things. You will learn. Everything you learn, you will use. So it might seem a little bit expensive, but it's definitely worth it. If it's calling to you, it's pulling at you, tugging you, I would highly recommend it. I will tell you that the Institute is actually doing a discount because of COVID. And so, and they offered it last year for any last minute people jumping into the courses, because now more than ever, people need to know how to care for their bodies and how to support their immune systems to
Yeah.
keep our energy up and keep us moving. So it is an
I
investment.
love that. Okay. I love that it's discounted right now. That's awesome. Okay. So Amber can
Like $3,000 off the regular. So it's like an absurd discount. So if you're thinking about it, yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. Okay, that's really exciting. Everybody sign up to learn. Okay, so really quick, let's see. Are there any side effects, negative side effects from a foot zone?
Okay, so negative side effects. If you do the treatment wrong or you're getting a practitioner who's not doing it right, yes, you can have side effects because there are certain things, again, you want to open. You want to go into the brain and clean certain areas before detoxing and bringing blood flow into the brain. You want to zone the spinal fluid upward to raise life energy. There's these little things that if they're not done correct, you could have some side effects. And everybody's side effects is different. You get a headache, you feel your energy becomes really low. Yes, that can happen. Most people walk away from their first time FootZoning feeling energized, but there are also a lot of people who feel really tired. And this is also because you've ignited the healing powers within your body. And so it does take a lot of energy to reset and rebalance. So you can feel tired. And so some people think of that as a side effect. Some people can have detox right away. I've had lots of people come my way with very extreme and severe issues. And we've had to dive in really quickly because they are up against the clock timeline because of a diagnosis they were given, or if they don't turn this around in a certain amount of time, then they have to move forward with this procedure. So my treatment is a little bit more in depth, even though it's the same thing. But I'll dive in a little bit deeper, doing a little bit more detox so we can get them step forward where they need to with their time frame so they can feel a little bit tired. They can have some diarrhea. They can feel low energy in a sense because their body is detoxing. So those kind of things can happen. Then there's other people who come to me and they say, it's time for a FootZone because my kids are telling me I'm yelling at them again. And so I just need to come reset my body. And then they're like, that lasts for like a whole week where all they do is feel is joy. They feel light. They feel love. It's just because it's getting their body back in order and rebalanced. Yeah. Every single person is different depending on what you've got going on in the body.
Yes. And I would just like to share the first couple of times that I got a FootZone. Oh my goodness. I detoxed like crazy after, and I was exhausted. And when the FootZoner was, putting her knuckle on my feet, it hurt so bad. And I was like squeezing a pillow and like just grinding my teeth like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. And I realized that it's because my body was so toxic at the time. And now when I get a FootZone, it feels so good. Like I could just fall asleep getting a FootZone. It's so good to me. Unless there's a part that's off of your body. Like today during my FootZone, my thyroid is off. And so when she zoned my thyroid, it hurt a little bit. Don't be scared, anyone. It doesn't really hurt. But you know what I mean? It just is so amazing how I was so toxic when I first started zoning. And then I've seen all these health elements in my life disappear, like crazy health issues that I used to have that have disappeared, and now when I get a FootZone it feels good. So
I think that's a good point too that you brought sensitivity, because I can be zoning someone no problem, same pressure, and I just hit a certain point on the foot that's connected to that area of the body, and they just go like they want to jump out of their chair and they're like, whoa, wait, what did you just push? Well, it's this area. Oh my gosh, that's the area I've been having a problem. I was going to tell you. Da, da, da. So it's amazing how the feet can tell us what's going on just with the sensitivity. But if there's a problem in that area, one, the FootZoner can feel it, but also the individual who's getting FootZone might notice, wait, that feels a little different than that other area.
Yes. So let's see. I have a lot of specific questions come through, like, does it help with this? And a lot of them asked about anxiety and depression, and I personally just want to say yes. They're in times when I've been just extremely anxious about Indy and the stuff that we've gone through over the past few years, I can get a FootZone and immediately just I feel better even though my circumstances had, it was just like, okay, I feel grounded, I feel calmer, I can do this, you know? So I want to say personally, it has helped me a lot with like anxiety and feelings of depression that I've had as we've gone through all of this stuff with Indy. They also asked, like, does it help with chronic illness? Absolutely. I feel like it's incredible for chronic illness because there's not a lot available for chronic illness.
Right.
Besides like long-term medications, and so I feel like with chronic illness, that's where natural healing methods really, really are needed.
Yeah. Especially like chronic illness. Yeah.
Yes.
I would have to say yes, yes, yes. For me and my experience, a lot of people come with chronic illness or severe disorders because there is nothing more for them in the medical field except for loading up on medications. And I'm not going to say that's bad. If that's the route you want to go, that's fine. But people are looking for something else. And because there isn't a lot of remedies for people with chronic or acute illnesses or autoimmune diseases. And so people are searching for something else. And I will tell you, it is absolutely miraculous what it can do. I've had people come in my office in a wheelchair. They can't walk. They have MS. Now they're walking. They actually ride their bike 26 miles to work. They run a marathon, and they no longer have MS. I didn't heal MS. Their body just got back in balance and is doing what it is supposed to be doing. And then they say, oh, it's in remission. People with fibromyalgia, people with, severe depression, people with pain in the body, psoriasis, the list goes on and on. And my thing is, when people come to me with labels, I kind of just dismiss that. Because for me, it's like a detective. I'm like, let's figure out what is imbalance in your body, and let's figure out what needs to start working properly. So whatever you're diagnosed with, whatever, I don't care. I need to figure out what is the root cause, where are the imbalances, where are the deficiencies, and what's not quite working in the body, and let's get it back on track. About 6 years ago, so many people started coming to me with Lyme's disease, and everybody has their different system, and everybody, carries Lyme differently. But I'd be like, what we have doesn't matter, but what I'm seeing is this in your body. So let's just take care of this. And next thing you know, the Lyme goes away. And it's like, okay, so again, I'm not professing to cure any diseases, but what I'm getting to is let's get your body back in balance. Okay. Yeah. And so whatever disease you've been labeled with or diagnosed with, okay, whatever. What we want to do as a FootZoner and for you to get FootZone is to get your systems working at the highest possibility, highest vibration that they can, and also to detect what's going on in your body. What is the real root cause? Where is the real imbalance? And let's address that instead of just like address the label that you've been diagnosed with.
Yes. And I love, particularly with you, Amber, and some other zoners I've seen as well, that it's not just FootZoning. Like, you take your clients through dietary changes, through supplements, through stuff like that, other things that aid in the healing process, because FootZoning alone can accomplish so many things, but it just is accelerated when you add all the rest, like the diet, like clean eating and all the supplements and stuff. So that is amazing if you can find a FootZoner who also does that. There's a lot of comments I see coming up from people who can't find a practitioner in their area. So, and that's what we were saying. It's not as popular as some of the other healing methods, even though it is growing right now. It just hasn't, it's newer to America, right? It's not as well known as like acupuncture and chiropractic care and these different healing modalities. So if you can find somebody in your area, the best thing you can do is learn how to do it, because you will never, ever, ever regret it. And I remember thinking about it like, oh, that's like, it is an investment of not only money, but of my time in learning how to do it. But I'm so grateful every day that I did it. It's been such a gift to my family. So, Amber, also, what was that?
You have that knowledge. It's so empowering,
Yeah. Yes. So also, if people cannot find somebody in their area, you do offer distance appointments, right?
Yes, I
Okay.
do. You can actually go onto my website and book a distant zone. So if you're open to those kind of things, I absolutely do those. I'm also available for phone consultations. Like if you want me to dive into your health and give you an idea of what's going on and give you some remedies to do, diet or tools or resources or what in your environment is affecting you. There's also that appointment or that type of treatment that I can assist you with on your healing journey. But yes, distant zoning, I've always done it, but I haven't really put it out there to people out in the forefront because there's people who feel differently about it, and that's okay. But with this COVID thing, it's really hard to reach people or people that want treatments but can't travel or they can't come in or whatever it is. So that resource is available for you.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I love that too. So we are physical beings, but we are also energetic beings. And so we have the ability, just like you can pray for somebody and influence their health and their life and their situation with a prayer. It's because like you're setting, it's the energy, right, that you're sending to that person up to God a prayer for that person. It's kind of, would you say, like, would you agree with this, Amber? Like, it's a similar idea. Like, we are energetic beings, and that's how a distance foot zone could work.
Yes, absolutely. So you are, yes, you're working with their energy field. What do you do? I would definitely say, second, what you said, Terah, I feel like it's a prayer in action. So
Yeah.
just that some people fast for a specific person or a specific thing. Some people pray. Some people go walk 5 miles for their mother that is fighting cancer. They do something for them. They take an act of service to dedicate that time and their service and their expending of energy to a specific thing. That's all that's going on. So you can do it several different ways or do it a way that speaks to you, but that's really what we're doing. It's like an act of prayer. So when I do a distance foot zone, I work on my feet for that person. And so when I tune into their energy or work on them through my feet, I feel what's going on in their body. Okay? You're connecting with their energy, you're connecting with their light, they're connecting with their higher source, however you would like to explain it or describe it, but that is what's going on. And also, can I not only feel what's going on, but I'm also working on resetting and rebalancing your body, just like you would with a very strong act of prayer. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
At first, when I first learned about it, I'm like, I'm going to have to put this in my back pocket, 12, 13 years ago. But I've seen the miracles of distant zoning, hands down, especially for me, traveling, and I can't get to my son or child if they've had something right then and there. I can go right to work, and I can help that situation.
Yes. Like, I will say when Indy was in the ICU and all of that stuff was going on, and after the ICU and that really just horrendous time in our lives, there was a lot of distant zoning going on. I was in no mental place to be able to even zone her. And so there was a lot of distance zoning going on. And in addition to all the prayers, all the fasting, and all the yoga practices dedicated to Indy, like it was just an incredible time. But anyways, I really can just tell you guys that the distance zoning works. So,
Okay, something that I also want to share real quickly for me, that's happened with me, for me, and then also with all my students. So I've had hundreds of different students, and I love it about this time of year. So they're going to be graduating really shortly. They come alive because when you are learning about the human body, you start to practice what you preach, or you start to practice what you're learning. And so they become more in tune with their bodies. Their little antennas, their little intuition gets sharpened, and they start pinging on things and tuning into things, and they can feel things right away what's going on before even going into the feet. And I know that might sound weird, but when you study and you work on something so long, you can just kind of know what's going on, where the imbalance is. And so I love that. So if you decide to take foot zoning, just be prepared for your own gifts and talents to come alive, for your own intuition, for your own understanding and knowledge of health, for your own ability to just kind of listen and kind of feel what's going on in your systems. But it's really fun. So that in itself of just learning FootZoning to work on yourself and sharpen your tools and skills and gifts and talents, get ready because it roars. It comes like these little antennas that we have, like they get sharpened and it's just like, wow.
It does. I can attest to this as well. Like people will ask me, well, how did you know Indy needed more zinc, or how did you know Birdie needed more B12 or whatever it is, And it's like, because I just know, like you get this intuition. And first of all, we have this as mothers. I think we have it as women, but when you apply something, as you said, and you learn about the body and you know the body and the signal systems and just, what's going on, your intuition comes alive and you just know what you need. So
there's this knowing. You just know. Yeah.
So let's see, how often should we get a zone?
Okay. So it's an open-ended question. It really depends on the person. So for me, like I shared, at least once a week or twice a week for me, because I want to make sure my body is operating at 110%, especially when I'm working on people. And I zone my children once a week. The beautiful thing is my oldest knows FootZoning. He graduated last year, so I can put him to work to working on my kids. My other boys, but it depends on the person's circumstance. There's people that do need to get zoned 2 or 3 times a week if they have a really serious condition.
Indy has been one of those before, where Indy was like 4 times a week.
Yeah.
So
situation, you've got to be on it. The body is changing all the time, and you just have to be on it. There's other things where people come once a week, and there's some people that just come once every 4 to 5 months because they just want to tune back into their body. They want to reset. They just want to see if there's anything they need to change. They want to stay on top of their health to make sure it doesn't start going downhill. So it really depends. You never go wrong zoning yourself every day. But it honestly, it depends on what your situation is, what your access to FootZoning is. But of course, if you learn it, you can do it anytime. But it just really depends on what is out of balance in the body.
Yeah. I love this comment that just came up. It says, when I get my feet zoned, I think of God more than I do during any other medical treatment.
Yes.
So I love that because it can be a very spiritual experience.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Amber, still do in-person sessions, correct? Okay.
In person. I do FootZoning. I do phone consultations. I'm also, because my schedule has gotten so crazy with clientele, I have offered a lot of courses online. So if you're not quite interested in diving into FootZoning, I have some courses like Little Buddha, which is a little bit of FootZoning on the feet. If you want to kind of explore with it, I have things like face rejuvenation, which is actually using face zoning on the face, so it kind of gets your feet a little bit wet diving into it. There's also a lot of courses that I offer on health and wellness online as well. So if you're wanting to kind of dive into that arena, study a little bit more, those are some great places to start. But yes, I do see people in person and also doing distance.
Okay.
Distance zones are much easier to get in on my schedule than the actual FootZoning, because FootZoning, I'm usually 5 to 6 months booked out, but I have certain days designated to just doing distance zone, and so those are more available.
Awesome. Okay. And let me just say really quick that face zones are incredible. They
Amazing.
feel so good, and mentally they will just pick you right up out of any mental funk, huh?
Yeah, they are fabulous. It's like a glorified facial times 10.
Yeah.
You're cleaning. I have some people that come for face zones just because they feel like they look 10 years younger, and everybody comments. But then people come with face zoning to really dive into the whole mental arena of the body and to dive into the brain. It's fascinating. In face zoning, you could read the signals on the face and see what's going on, which is great because like your kid walks in the door from school and you can immediately see what's going on in their body through the face. Or a client walks in the door. You see someone at the grocery store. You're like, oh my gosh, they've got this going on. It can be a little much at times because then you see everything that's going on. bodies, but it is fun. It's just another tool to help you see what's going on in the body. And the class that I do, face rejuvenation, is like a teaser into the face zoning course. So if that interests you and like you want to kind of read the mapping on the face rejuvenation is a fabulous course.
Awesome. I love face zoning. So I'm going to do one more question because we have went a lot longer than we planned. I want to do one more question, and then I want you to share like some inspiring stories that you've had with clients. So the question was, let's see. Oh yeah. Zoning, like the difference between zoning an infant, a child, and an adult.
Okay. There is really no difference besides the surface area. You will see similar conditions in little ones, children, and adults. I obviously learned in the beginning for my child, so that's where a lot of my practice was when I was learning. But the treatment is the exact same, but you just have little teeny feet. Bigger feet, men that wear a size 15, you just have a lot of real estate. You have a lot of ground to cover when you are zoning them. But it is the same. My joy is little ones, little babies. I've some children that are 5 minutes old, straight out of the womb, when they knew that something was going on, so they wanted me on site when it happened, when they gave birth. And then I've zoned somebody who's 103 years old, and every age in between. But honestly, it's the same treatment. It's the same zone. Doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter the race, doesn't matter the size, doesn't matter the condition. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm not quite sure how to say that, but yet you can zone them all, and doesn't matter.
Yeah, every age can benefit. I think the question was like, because I've had somebody who was actually scared to have their infant zoned because they were like, oh, I don't want to mess anything up. But it's like, no, it's really beneficial. Like I had Birdie zoned. My doula was a foot zoner, so I had Birdie zoned the day after she was born, and like her right shoulder was out of place, and so she was able to pop her shoulder back in place. And I was like, oh my goodness, now she's nursing a little bit better. You know, it was really amazing. So there are benefits to zoning every age group. It's incredible.
You name a condition, there's a benefit to it. Like infants, it's great because if they had a C-section, not all their spinal nerves get turned on and their cranial nerves. And there can be a lot of problems, conditions that can arise over the next weeks, 2 months, or 5 months when those cranial nerves and those spinal nerves aren't turned on. So if you can make sure those are operating and working properly shortly after mama gives, birth or has the C-section, this is huge. Or with the child, you might not know that something you're eating and you're breastfeeding is affecting their digestion or affecting their lymphatic system, and you can figure that out. And again, babies can't talk to you. So it's great to just go in, hit those signal systems and see what's out of balance and get that imbalance, or see where there might be some disturbances to help that child grow and develop the way they should, instead of waiting down the road. Oh wait, this has been out of balance the whole time, which has then caused this problem, which has then caused an illness or a discomfort here. Yes. So zoning babies is absolutely amazing, and zoning children and teenagers and mamas, it helps your hair grow, it helps your hormones balance, it helps you, your muscles, your teeth. I mean, you just name it. There's so many things. I just had a student in my class share something she is learning, and her child is severely allergic to bees. I mean, EpiPen right away. Well, she got a bee sting and just like, oh my gosh, EpiPen. But then she realized for just a split second, okay, someone else go get the EpiPen. I'm going to quickly zone her because there are certain things you can zone in serious conditions. Boom, she zoned those adrenals, boomed a couple other things, and her throat stopped swelling up. Like within 1 minute after the zone, her body was back to normal. Then, of course, she followed up with a complete zone, and she had no allergic reactions after that. Like, so it was just like amazing, and it was fun to hear her story. But these little tools that you have, no, I'm not saying don't use the EpiPen, but she was kind of like, the EpiPen's far away, someone went to go get it, why not I just use it? So you can use it in acute situations, for chronic conditions, you can do it for maintenance. There's so many different ways. It's like whatever you need to get the body back in balance and get it working at its optimum, then you're going to need FootZoning.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, that is such a cool story. Well, let's see. We'll be all done with our questions. We'll wrap it up. Is there anything else you want to share, Amber?
Um, I feel like there's so much to share.
There is.
But I will tell you this, for me, FootZoning has been a complete miracle for my life and my life. And I honestly just don't know where I would be without it. 15 years ago, you would have told me, I sell my design firm, I quit my job, and I tickle people's toes for a living. I would have just laughed and told you, yeah, I'm designing corporate identity for big, huge companies in the Silicon Valley. What? But I realized that there was something to this, and there was a call much greater than I can understand. And that for me, whether a mother or you're not a mother, we need to know how to take care of our bodies. And for me, it has been an absolute game changer, life-changing experiences with my first son and my second, and then with my third. Knock on wood, we haven't had any problems because I made sure from the beginning we did things differently. But I wouldn't have child number 2 or 3 if I didn't find FootZoning. And child number 2 would not be with us. And child number 3 would probably be in a lot of extra services and rehab and many different things. But so for me, it's absolutely changed my life. And I never planned on being a FootZoner for anybody else but my family. But people started coming and they would say, what did you do with your child? Like, he used to bang his head against the wall and drool out of the side of his mouth. And now he's like riding a bike and talking to kids on the street. What's going on? And so I would kindly share, because I know people have certain opinions about different modalities, just gently share, and they would go, well, okay, so I want this done, or can it help with this? And I would say yes, and I would try to send them elsewhere. And they would actually call the institute in Montana where I trained from, and they would say, oh, you can just get a FootZone from a lady in your area. And they would say me, and I'm like, oh no, okay, I guess I'll do it. And then I started doing that. And then as I learned how to teach FootZoning and became a coach and an instructor and a master instructor, people wanted to learn. But of course, I wasn't learning to be a teacher or an instructor. I was learning to get all the knowledge I possibly can to make sure that I take care of my kids the best way possible. And so then again, people would go like, I want to learn this. They would call the institute in Montana and they would say, oh, you have a teacher right in your area. I'm like, oh no. So I started the journey, and I have zoned. Yeah, I've instructed hundreds of students, and I feel like I'm always learning. Someone who comes with me with a problem and I'm unfamiliar with it, I'm like, let's get to the bottom of this, because it really is just problem solving and putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And if you dive deep enough, you will find the answer. And I'm an absolute firm believer that if you ask, you shall receive. And so if you are studying and working intently with a pure heart, with good intent, seeking for the right things to help somebody heal or help yourself heal, the answers are going to come, the knowledge is going to come, and the information has come. So when people come and they tell me their condition, I'll be like, okay, well, let's just figure out what's going on. Amazing things happen. And usually these people who become my students have had a family member have an amazing experience, or they themselves has healed from an incurable disease themselves, and so they've gone on learn. I had a gal who was 16 who learned it. She was diagnosed with Crohn's and colitis, severe case, and they were actually, as a teenager, they were going to take her colon out. And so they approached me a month before they were supposed to take the colon out and be like, can you help? And I'm like, I don't know, let's try. And I went to work, and if there was something I didn't know, I was going to figure it out and solve. And I think I actually collaborated with Elizabeth on this a couple times. I'm like, let's start into it, because I was in my teacher training during that time. But within a month, her condition completely reversed. They did not take her colon out. She didn't get a bag. And she had just this amazing experience that she decided, I need to become a FootZoner. And so as a teenager, she learned how to care for her body so that she wouldn't have to come to me for a FootZone, that she could do on herself, and then for a future family, and then for her siblings. So it's really quite amazing, the people that come. And it's been interesting because for me, I was never online or on social media until just like a year and a half ago, because people had so many questions. And so I'm like, well, if I just create a website, they can have answers there, because I realized, they can have question and answers there, and people can go to find places of truth to, to what they're looking for.
Yes.
Realize that people are yearning for this. So
Yeah.
I never really advertised, never putting my stuff out there on social media a little while ago, but people came from all over. So it's interesting if you put it out there that you want to heal and that you have the knowledge, and then people come. I've had people come from China, Australia, Florida, Canada, all different places I never knew of, because they're like, I'm looking for something and I know you know.
We have 7 seconds before it ends our live video because we've reached 1 hour. So thank you so much.
Love you.